Starting us off at number 10, Kanye West. Kanye is on this list because of the shenanigans he's gotten into this year. Between his presidential campaign, his Twitter sprees, and now his most recent stunt with tweeting out his music contract and peeing on his Grammy, Kanye is something else. But I think that next year, Kanye's reign of fame will come to an end because of his recent contract stunt. What he's done by releasing the images of all his contracts is incredibly illegal. He's breaking every NDA in the books, he's violating everything in those contracts, and it's getting messy. I'm guessing that this is gonna end up being a huge legal battle, and I think Kanye knows this is what's going to happen too, because he even tweeted out a piece of merch that said, "Kim is my lawyer," basically showing that he's ready for this fight. And although I applaud him for going after the rights to his music, this may have just cost him his whole career. The rights to his masters are going to cost a lot of money, and so he's going to have a lot of money put aside for this. However, Kanye is also going in for the fight of his life, trying to get these rights as well as fighting his breach of contract following his release of the images of his contracts. He's not gonna have much money after this and the legal fees, because although he says that Kim is his lawyer, she's not really a lawyer yet. I'm guessing after the legal fees and whatnot, he's not gonna have the money to buy back his music and will have to sign another label to make more music. But after this stunt, I don't think anyone's going to want to risk taking a chance on Kanye, and therefore he will lose his career and subsequently his fame. At number 9, Shane Dawson. Okay, now moving on to YouTuber Shane Dawson. Shane has been on the receiving end of a lot of backlash in the past and also this year. His career has been pretty rocky for years because of a number of scandals, but following the backlash of this year specifically, I think this might be the end of Shane's fame. Shane has 21 million subscribers, and he saw a big jump in popularity in recent years with his focus on more lengthy and highly produced documentary series, but this year, most of the hard work came undone. He was cancelled a lot this year and had to issue some apologies along the way, but I think that this might be the end of an era. Following the rise in popularity of the Black Lives Matter movement and Shane's cancellation for his racist past, there's been an apparent shift in society and people have become more vigilant of discrimination amongst other things. So were Shane to come back onto the platform and try to make his videos again, I don't think he'll be met with the same praise as before, since he's lost quite a bit of support. He may very well pull a Jenna Marbles and leave the platform and subsequently fade from the internet. In at 8, Ellen DeGeneres. This one is kind of obvious, but we're gonna talk about her anyway. You've no doubt heard of Ellen's tumultuous year and the long list of allegations against her. Now, although her show hasn't been cancelled and no real action has been taken against Ellen, that doesn't necessarily mean she's off the hook. Throughout this whole year, we've seen people come out of the woodworks to talk about Ellen and bring about more controversies, and really they've just painted a pretty bad picture of her. So going into next year, she's probably not gonna be carrying much fame with her. She now has a reputation of being mean and whatnot, so I doubt that people will really want to work with her after this. Things for her have been slowly falling apart this year, so next year I do believe that we will see the end of the Ellen Show and a toast. At number 7, Sharon Osbourne. Talk show host Sharon Osbourne found herself in some hot water earlier this year after making some comments about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. Sharon faced a lot of backlash and crossed a line by making the harsh comments that she did about the royal couple, specifically about Meghan. This all went down on The View as Sharon Osbourne and Cheryl Underwood got into a heated argument surrounding Piers Morgan's remarks about Meghan Markle. During this feud, Sharon backed up Piers's comments about Meghan Markle's mental health and about the fact that she didn't believe what Meghan said about her mental health, and this frustrated Cheryl because she didn't like the comments that were being made about those involved. This very heated debate then got even bigger as this prompted an internal investigation after it was alleged that Sharon had been making disrespectful comments about her fellow hosts as well. This really blew up in her face as she lost her career and reputation and was promptly cancelled online. Because of this, we might not hear much from Sharon in 2022. In at 6, Tyra Banks. Supermodel Tyra Banks has come under fire this year for her show America's Next Top Model. Fans came back to rip her apart for perpetuating toxicity, sexism, racism, and unhealthy body image in the early years of the show. Though Tyra has turned around advocating for inclusivity and acceptance in the modeling industry in recent years, it's her past actions that people are focusing on. Tyra used to be one of the biggest and most famous models in the world, but over the years her fame has begun to fade into obscurity, and with the recent backlash of ANTM, that's really just digging her career deeper and deeper into the ground. Before the pandemic hit, Tyra was set to launch a model-esque theme park where you could be a supermodel for the day. Think Wanna Do City, but fashion. But so far there's there's been no launch. In recent years, Tyra has also tried launching a beauty line, but that failed. And her model land thing just isn't really picking up either. Now she's a host on Dancing with the Stars, and that shows kind of where careers go to die. No offense to Tyra, like she was my queen growing up, but I don't think that her fame will be hanging on for very much longer after this year. At number 5, James Corden. This year, the people turned on James Corden. James was trending a lot on Twitter this year, and not for the best reasons either. The amount of times I saw James Corden trending for people just talking about how much they hate him says a lot about what people in Hollywood think of him. The actor and late night host got into a few scandals this year, so following all of that, 2022 is probably going to be a rough year for James and his career. So far this year, James has faced backlash for his Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts segment because he was exposed for using traditional Asian foods as part of the gross foods for the bit, and on top of that, he faced a lot of scrutiny for his Golden Globes nomination for his role in the movie Prom, where he played a gay character because people thought that he used too many gay stereotypes in his portrayal of the role. Furthermore, a number of people who've worked with him or have had encounters with the host have also made a lot of negative comments about him, making him look like a pretty bad guy. To make matters worse for James and his career, some fans have literally started making petitions to keep James out of certain big Hollywood productions. People are really starting to dislike James, so like I said, 2022 might be a struggle for the late night host. In at 4, Lea Michele. Lea is another one of those stars who's been called out for their past unpleasant behavior. Earlier this year, fellow Glee castmate Samantha Marie Ware called Lea Michele out for making her time on the show a living hell. Samantha accused Lea of bullying and just being an all-around unpleasant person to work with. With her microaggressions and bad attitude, Lea was also faced with scrutiny from other people that she worked with like Keith Powell, Heather Morris, and Gerard Canonico. Now following their expose of Lea, the actress is now being seen negatively by the entertainment industry. I think that as a result, we're going to see a similar, if not same, pattern as Ellen, where people don't really want to work with her and ultimately will fade from the spotlight. At number 3, Chris Noth. In one of the more recent Hollywood scandals to come out this year, Sex and the City actor Chris Noth has been faced with allegations of inappropriate contact, and he's starting to lose a lot. This scandal is still developing because it's so recent, but so far other former Sex and the City co-stars have come forward to support the alleged victims. As for his career, he's been fired from his role on the CBS show The Equalizer effective immediately. As he goes into the new year with the scandal and the fact that he's been fired, chances are he probably won't be all that famous in 2022. Coming in at number 2, Amber Heard. Oh boy, Amber Heard is right up there with Ellen as public enemies of 2020. Amber is now getting tons of backlash after people learn the truth about her relationship with Johnny Depp. As their defamation trial continues to unfold, more and more people are hating Amber for her treatment of her ex-husband. Following the backlash, her career has taken a hit. There's been a petition going around to remove her from the Aquaman sequel, and she's apparently been forced to star in indie films instead of big Hollywood productions because her fame and reputation have taken such a big hit. This new downfall is certainly going to continue as the trial isn't over yet, and I'm sure there's still a lot more to uncover about the actress. But just seeing her career be hit so hard already kind of shows that she may very well lose her fame in the coming years. When she pegged the abuse on Johnny, his reputation fell apart, and now that this dynamic is being shifted onto Amber, we're seeing the same thing happen again. The only difference here is that Johnny was able to clear his name, and Amber might not be able to clear hers. Finally coming in at number 1, Carole Baskin. Carole Baskin became an overnight sensation following the release of the Tiger King documentary in March. Unlike Joe Exotic, she's been able to hold on to her fame just a little bit longer than he has, but I'm still predicting that she will lose her fame in the coming year. Yeah, sure, she's on Dancing with the Stars and that's just fueling her fame for now, but what's gonna happen when the show's over? So far her fame has been coming in waves. First it was the rise of the documentary, then things died down with its hype, then she came back up again when she was announced to be on Dance with the Stars, but when she leaves she's just gonna fade back into obscurity. And now that this year is coming to a close, thank God, there's really nothing else left to keep her fame afloat. I think she's just gonna end up going back to being an animal activist and live out her days covering up the murder of her husband, who we all know was fed to the tigers. At number 10, Armie Hammer. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the Armie Hammer scandal by now. This actor had to be included on this list because it was the first big scandal that really blew up this year and it really destroyed the actor's career. Back in January, some of Armie's private messages with other women came to light, depicting the actor in a not so flattering way. The messages leaked by the Instagram page House of Effie exposed the actor for his bedroom fantasies, among other adult things, and this created a snowball effect that led to people coming forward with their own allegations of misconduct against the actor. Things took a very serious turn, and soon an investigation was launched to look into some of the claims made by some of Army's alleged victims. Because of the scandal and its severity, this took a huge toll on Army and his career, and he lost a lot as a result. You know that no one is quick to forget a scandal like this in Hollywood, and so as a result of this huge scandal and the allegations against him, Army started losing everything he worked for, including movie roles and representation in the industry. No one knows what the next step is for him, but one thing's for sure, he won't be famous next year. At number 9, Marilyn Manson. Another really huge scandal that happened this year that absolutely obliterated someone's career came from singer Marilyn Manson. This scandal shocked a lot of people because of how serious it was and how many people it affected. It all started when Marilyn's ex-partner, actress Evan Rachel Wood, came forward in an Instagram post to name Manson as someone who had harmed her for a long time. In her statement, Evan cited how manipulative Marilyn was, accusing him of brainwashing her, and told her fans about how Manson caused her so much mental, physical, and emotional pain. This caused more people to come forward later on, including Game of Thrones actress Esme Bianco, who came forward with some of the horrible encounters that she had with Manson as well. Following this scandal, Manson was dropped by his music label, and the LA County Sheriff's Department began an investigation looking into some of the allegations against the singer. It was alleged that his label covered up a lot of what Manson had been doing to other people, and that only made him look worse. Since this scandal broke, Manson has hit rock bottom in his career and social status because of how alarming this scandal was. So I don't think that the singer is going to be famous for the next little while. Before we carry on talking about the celebrities going into next year with a little less fame, why not take a brief moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Chris Harrison. With every season of The Bachelor or Bachelorette, there's at least one scandal. But earlier this year, things were a little different because a pretty serious scandal broke and it led to someone losing their job. The show's longtime host Chris Harrison landed himself into some hot water this year after he started facing backlash for the comments he made about one of the contestants' past. At the beginning of The Bachelor season earlier this year, photos of one of the Bachelor contestants was leaked showing her in a few compromising situations, specifically of her attending an antebellum themed party, and many fans saw this as highly offensive and racist. When this scandal first broke, a conversation was obviously sparked, but when asked about his take on the situation, Chris ended up offending some people as he responded saying that it was in the past. In an interview on Extra with former Bachelor/Bachelorette contestant Rachel Lindsay, when asked about this contestant's controversial photos, Chris was seemingly dismissive of her actions of her being at this party, and he continued to try and defend his stance, saying that he didn't want to make any comments before the contestant in question had spoken out first. Instead of helping the situation, fans of the show saw this as perpetuating racism, and so he was cancelled. As a result of this drama, Chris was let go from the show and hasn't really been seen much in the media since, prompting some to believe that he won't be famous anymore. Coming in at number 7, J.K. Rowling. This one might be a little controversial because it's J.K., and as the queen of Harry Potter, she may not completely lose her fame, but she's definitely on her way to losing credibility. Recently, she's come under fire for allegedly being transphobic and speaking out about her transphobic views. The criticism she's been receiving lately have been coming from all sides, between the Harry Potter cast and general fans. The comments that J.K. has been making about trans issues have seen people coming back to bite her. So many people are losing respect for the famous author that some fans are even getting their Harry Potter tattoos removed because they no longer support her. A large portion of the fan base identifies with the character of Harry Potter because of how his story shows the growth of finding acceptance in a community that supports them, much like the LGBT community. Since J.K. is now coming out with her take on trans issues, this is turning out to be her downfall, as a large portion of the fandom has now lost faith and are pulling their support. J.K. might not be famous for too much longer at this rate. At number 6, DaBaby. Rapper DaBaby was yet another celebrity to be cancelled this year, and it was not pretty. The rapper's controversy came after he said some pretty offensive things while on stage performing at Rolling Loud in Miami. While on stage, the rapper made a series of offensive comments about the gay community, as well as perpetuating some of the stereotypes around HIV and AIDS. While on stage, the rapper made some comments about the illness, calling it a quote, deadly sexually transmitted disease that'll make you die in 2-3 weeks, end quote. He also went on to say some more homophobic things about gay men that also added fuel to the fire. Many people clapped back at the rapper, like celebrities including Dua Lipa and Elton John, who condemned the rapper's comments and tried to educate the public on the misinformations that DaBaby spread, how it was wrong, along and tried to educate the public specifically on HIV and AIDS to put the stigma spread by DaBaby's comments to rest. Because of this scandal, the rapper got into a lot of trouble with fans and was knocked down a pedestal or two, so maybe in the new year, you might see the rapper try to grasp onto what's left of his fame after this scandal. At number 5, James Charles. Beauty YouTuber James Charles is no stranger to getting cancelled for having been caught having inappropriate relationships with a few of his fans under the age of 18. James has faced backlash for this sort of thing many times in the past, but yet he still gets caught. This year, James was hit with backlash after it was discovered that he had solicited private photos from a fan who turned out to be under 18. James was exposed by said fan on social media, where he showed off their messages and photos sent to each other over the period of time that they had been talking. This happened late in February, but a similar event happened just a few weeks prior to this incident after a young man came forward exposing James and recounting how he and James had been having explicit conversations on Snapchat. The fact that James keeps crossing this line and keeps getting caught says a lot about him, and people are starting to catch on to this as a result. James not only lost his collaboration with Morphe, but he also lost out on a web series hosting job, and his channel was demonetized by YouTube. He's losing more and more fans as he gets caught in these scandals, so perhaps 2022 might be the year when he loses it all. At number 4, Gina Carano. Let's talk about another celebrity who faced a lot of backlash this year. Actress Gina Carano, known for her role on the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, was exposed and cancelled for her old Twitter posts. Earlier this year, Gina began to face massive backlash for her social media posts that exposed her ideals and opinions that many people took offense to. Though there were a few posts that garnered a lot of negative attention, such as her comments on putting your pronouns in your social media bio, the one that seemingly was the last straw for her career was a post that compared being a Republican to being a victim of the horrors of World War II, saying that Republicans are being persecuted because of their political beliefs. A lot of people took offense to this and led to more backlash and to her getting exposed for her unpopular opinions. Other posts that caused Gina to face scrutiny include her tweets about voter fraud in the US, as well as posts mocking people who wear masks amidst the pandemic. Because of this scandal and all of the negative press Gina was getting, she was promptly fired from The Mandalorian and hasn't really been seen much since. Because of the nature of this scandal and the offensive things that were said, Gina might struggle to keep her fame in the coming year, because as we all know by now, Hollywood does not forget. At number 3, Tana Mongeau. YouTuber Tana Mongeau is somehow always involved in some sort of scandal. Most recently, we've seen Tana face backlash for her alleged treatment of fellow YouTubers Kaylin Berry and Nessa Briella, as well as her racist past. Much like Shane, she's been faced with similar scandals in the past, and she's lost some of her following because of it. Now again, following the Black Lives Matter movement, and really just the societal shift and focus on discrimination, people are really vigilant of the action and treatment of others. So do I think that we could see Tana's fame fade? Yes, but also no. She's so big on the platform that it would probably take more serious cancellations for her to really feel its effects, because right now, following her last controversy, she seems pretty unbothered by it. But if she continues to get such bold criticism, she could end up losing much of her fan base and fade away. At number 2, Jessie Nelson. On October 8th of this year, former Little Mix member Jessie Nelson released her music video for her song Boys featuring Nicki Minaj. After the video dropped, the singer was promptly cancelled and backlash ensued as viewers immediately started commenting on Jessie's appearance in the video and speculating on whether or not Jessie was deliberately trying to portray herself as a black woman for the content, and people started calling her out for blackfishing. In the Boys video, fans pointed out that Jessie was using a lot of black-centric aesthetics in the video, most notably a darker tan. But with this blackfishing controversy came more drama as people started looking into Jessie's past with Little Mix. Soon drama started to unfold with the group as one of the girl group's members came forward to say that she had actually warned Jessie about blackfishing and how it's wrong, but Jessie still did it anyway, and even went so far as to claim that no one had ever commented on it until this video came out. Things got messy and some fans started second guessing their support for Jessie, so maybe in the new year we won't see much from the former girl group member. And finally, at number 1, Travis Scott. Travis faced a lot of backlash in the last few weeks after the tragedy that occurred at his Astroworld concert. The rapper's performance ended in tragedy as the chaos that ensued during the concert left multiple people dead and hundreds injured. 10 people lost their lives due to the event that unfolded, and many others are still recovering from their injuries, as well as the families of those affected still trying to cope with everything that happened with their loved ones. There was a lot of footage circling the internet showing what happened that night and the madness that occurred during the performance, with people showing the crowds of people and even some fans yelling "Stop the show." After the incident, we found out that the Houston police chief actually warned Travis about crowd control prior to the event, expressing his concerns for public safety. After people found this out, Travis started facing even more backlash, as fans said that if the rapper really listened to this warning, these casualties could have been avoided. Travis has spoken out several times on the matter, but each time he makes a statement, it seems to make the whole situation worse for him, which certainly isn't helping his career or his fame. Because of the severity of this scandal, Travis might not be very famous in 2022. At number 10, Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan had a lot to say about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's interview with Oprah that became one of the biggest bombshells of this year. During the interview, secrets were revealed, confessions were given, and a lot of people had a lot to discuss. One of the things that was picked apart a lot by people were Meghan Markle's comments on her mental health before they split from the royal family. Meghan said that she was really depressed and had thoughts of taking her own life. Piers Morgan decided to pick apart her comments on her mental health and said that in his opinion he, quote, didn't believe a word that Meghan said, end quote. He criticized Meghan's mental health, and a lot of people saw that as going too far. As a result, Piers and the network he worked for faced mass scrutiny for saying such a thing about someone's mental health, as it was seen as diminishing and deflecting of the severity of such a thought as taking your own life. Because of the backlash he faced, Piers announced that he would be leaving the network, but that he still doesn't believe Meghan's claim, saying, quote, freedom of speech is a hill I am happy to die on, end quote. Because of the backlash he faced this year, Piers might not be famous in 2022. At number 9, Ellen DeGeneres. Last year, Ellen faced a lot of drama, backlash, and cancellations, and it completely tanked her career. It started with allegations of a toxic work environment and snowballed into her facing scrutiny for her comments on the lockdown experience, the Black Lives Matter movement, and even had people digging up old interviews to show how toxic she's been. With all that backlash she's been facing over the last year, her career has taken some serious damage. According to some sources, her show has seen a huge drop in ratings following her cancellation, and a number of advertisers had pulled their support from the show as well. Ellen announced the end of her show at the end of her 19th season. When news broke of her show ending after nearly 2 decades, Ellen said that this was a personal decision to end the show, saying she's looking for a new challenge, but I'm sure that her recent negative attention also played a big part in this decision. Because of this, she might not be very famous next year, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Before we carry on talking about some of the celebrities who might not be thriving next year, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, why not smash that subscribe button to see more videos like this one. At number 8, J.K. Rowling. Last year, Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling came under serious fire over a number of things, such as allegations of transphobia after she sent out a series of tweets that were seen as highly offensive to the trans community. J.K. spoke out on social media about her opinions and views on trans people, specifically trans women, and because of the comments she made, she faced massive backlash. Her words impacted a lot of people from the trans community, and they also had an effect on her business relationships, as those who have ties with her Harry Potter franchise were brought into this mess. Since her drama last year, the author has continued to lay into this, going along with the hate she's received. She was cancelled last year, but that veil still hasn't been lifted because no one is forgiving her. As a result of this continuing drama, her business has suffered, and her HBO plans remain on the rocks, and her book sales have declined in recent months. JK cancelled herself, but she just keeps digging herself deeper and deeper, and she's losing fame and might lose it all in the coming year. At number 7, Chrissy Teigen. For Chrissy Teigen, the internet has not been the greatest place to be, for her at least, after she got cancelled for bullying Courtney Stodden when they were younger. Chrissy had some old tweets and DMs leaked which showed some very offensive messages to Courtney from back when they were still a teenager. Courtney rose to fame after they married Doug Hutchison when they were still very young, and this sparked international attention and also seemingly saw Chrissy turn into a very mean person, as she allegedly sent a number of hateful messages to Courtney. Courtney spoke out about how they received such hateful messages from Chrissy, where they said that the hateful messages and harassment they received from her back then came during a very hard time in their life and really didn't help them navigate the pain they were feeling at the time. Chrissy has since apologized to Courtney for her actions, but after seeing many of the messages and tweets, a lot of fans aren't quick to forget what Chrissy has done. Chrissy has even started losing work because of this, because it exposed the hateful side of her, so maybe she might lose some fame next year as part of the lingering effects of this scandal. At number 6, Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil was exposed and cancelled earlier this year following rapper Bad Baby's YouTube video where she spoke out about the treatment she experienced from a youth reform camp that she was sent to after her time on Dr. Phil's show. The rapper, whose real name is Danielle Bergoli, posted a video to her YouTube channel courageously opening up about what she experienced, detailing how staff at the camp called Turnabout Ranch treated her and other kids. In the video, she shared some of the horrors she faced, like how she was taken from her home in the middle of the night, handcuffed, and wasn't allowed to sleep or shower for 3 days. She also said that staff used restraints on people and that some people claimed to have been assaulted. while there. Danielle exposed Dr. Phil because he was the one who recommended this camp and has been doing so for such a long time. People were furious with Dr. Phil because he condoned such a horrific place and he was cancelled for it. When the public found out about Dr. Phil, he lost a lot of credibility, and since then more people have come forward to speak out about their experiences with the TV personality. This may only be the beginning, but if we know anything about cancel culture, it's that no one is safe and they could easily lose it all. Halfway through at number 5, Joe Exotic. Netflix's Tiger King documentary came out just as quarantine started, so naturally, as everyone was bored in the house and in-house bored, people gravitated to this new edition and it became a hit very quickly. Joe Exotic rose to fame and he and his personality became something of a meme. But like most fads do, it started to fade. Sure, we've seen Joe's name pop up in the news here and there, but it's really just him trying to stay relevant while behind bars. As 2021 rolls around, people are going to completely forget about Joe Exotic and move on to the next fad as it comes around. He was funny and popular at the beginning because his character was so unusual, but when people really got to thinking about the wrong he's done, people really just started to hate him, and now he's no longer trending. At number 4, David Dobrik. For a lot of aspiring YouTube creators, David Dobrik was one person that a lot of people looked up to. He had a lot of success on the platform, but after his massive scandal earlier this year, a lot of people stopped supporting the YouTuber after learning of the allegations against him. David lost a lot of followers and faced a lot of backlash from the public after people started coming forward with allegations of bullying against David, as well as his Vlog Squad friends. Former members of David's YouTube friend group also came forward calling David out for bullying and creating a toxic environment, as well as orchestrating pranks that resulted in one friend experiencing trauma, and on top of that, a former fan came forward naming a Vlog Squad member as a person who was inappropriate with them while they were under the influence, and also exposed David for filming part of the alleged incident. Though he seems to be doing okay now that this scandal has blown over, we all know how unpredictable YouTube and the internet can be, and it just takes one more cancellation to really end someone, so in 2022 we might have to watch out for that. At number 3, Jamie Lynn Spears. Another person who might not be famous in the new year is none other than Britney Spears' sister, Jamie Lynn Spears. Jamie Lynn got caught up in the scandal that was her sister's conservator case, and it didn't end well for her. There was a lot of family drama involved, as you can imagine, but instead of laying low and riding out the storm, so to speak, she jumped into the spotlight, and doing that attracted a lot of hate towards her. Many of Britney's fans criticized Jamie Lynn for not standing up for her sister and watching her suffer through the conservatorship for so long. Things took such a nasty turn for Jamie that it damaged her relationship with Britney and has caused her to attract a lot of hate and scrutiny. Because this Britney drama is still pretty fresh in people's minds, Jamie Lynn might not be too famous in the coming year, and she might still be cancelled by a lot of her sister's fans. At number 2, Meghan Markle. As I mentioned earlier, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry made headlines this year after their interview with Oprah back in January. People became super obsessed with the couple, both in positive and negative ways. Since then, they've been in and out of the news, and a lot of people have wondered if Meghan will make her return to acting after leaving the royal family. So far, she's done a little bit of work in Hollywood, having narrated a documentary about elephants that's on Disney+, but people are wondering if we will see more from Meghan in the new year. Well, the answer is maybe, maybe not. Things are still a little shaky with the actress because of all the drama surrounding her and everything with the royal family, and she and Harry are also focused on raising their young family, so perhaps Meghan will continue to lay low for a little while longer. She might not be very famous in 2022, but maybe in the future we will see her return to Hollywood. And finally, at number 1, Amber Heard. Amber Heard seems to be laying pretty low these days following all of that drama with Johnny Depp last year, but that doesn't mean people have forgotten why they hate her. Amber and Johnny were the biggest story of last year, and after learning so much about the horrible things that Amber did, she's lost a lot of fans, and people have hated her ever since. We learned that she had gotten into a fight with her sister, she's been recorded confessing to hitting Johnny Depp, she's pretended to be the victim of a violent crime, she smuggled her dogs to Australia, pretended to not have known about the laws there, and tried to get her assistant to commit perjury, she's responsible for Johnny's severed finger, and she supposedly planted stories in the media to deliberately shift the focus from Johnny to her. Because of all these things that have come out about the actress, there are so many people from around the world who really just hate her, and there have even been petitions to have her removed from certain movies, and she's lost a lot of respect from fans and some Hollywood people as well. So because of her bad reputation and the fact that she hasn't really been able to come back from all that drama last year, she might not be too favorable in 2022.